Ms. Bhide is an MMS HR from the batch of 2012. She started her career in recruitment, training, and further moved to engagement. Currently, she works as a senior business development manager at Epidemic, a musical engagement solutions company. She is a trained and certified dance trainer and has also developed an innovative team building training sessions using dance as a medium of learning for corporates like Saint Gobain, Idea, Esser Oil, JP Morgan, Kalpataru to name a few. In today's webinar, she would be throwing light upon digitalization of business, which is a very popular discussion amongst today's youth and adult society alike. So without further ado, I would now like to welcome Ms. Nirzari Bhide amongst us. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Soham. A very warm good evening to everyone present here. And thank you so much for joining in on a Monday, which is always a very busy day. But still, thank you so much for taking your time out and in the crazy, Monday and listening to me. And hope you have a great week ahead. On that positive note, let me start my session. I basically thank you so much for a very short but sweet introduction, Soham. And yes, my stint has in HR has been after my graduation, and my postgrad in MMS has started with recruitment. And I keep coming back to Vidalankar, and Vidalankar always very fondly calls me back. So it's good to back again to your alma mater again and again. It just makes you hold on to your roots, which is very important. And can I share my screen? Start with.
Sure.
Somebody will have to enable my screen share.
Oh, chance. Sunil, can you see? You please make her co-host.
Okay, while that's on, I think firstly very thankful to Ambada sir for giving me this opportunity, because like I said, it's great to be back again and again to Vidalankar and interacting with all you guys who are the future engineers and MBAs and the future professionals. So it's wonderful to interact always, to share my thoughts on multiple sort of topics that I'm going to cover in my talk today. Is it done?
Sunil, can you hear me? Sunil Patil, Sunil Dubey, can you hear me? Hello, Sunil Patil, Sunil Dubey, can you hear me? Please make Nirzari Bhide co-host. Just a minute.
No problem. Okay, so let me just set the context till the time I get a chance to share across the presentation. So I'll just set the context on why I have chosen the topic of digitalization of business. Of course, it's a very, very relevant topic in this current times. I think we have seen it all through the last couple of years, and right now in more so in the COVID scenario. And I think going forward also, I think we'll be delving in digitalization more and more. So I thought this is the best time and this is the best opportunity for me to talk on this subject when I got this invitation to to basically to speak on a topic. So I think I chose this because I've seen a lot, very closely digitalization, from the point of view of business transformation, as well as innovation, and how it has changed the course of businesses across across the country, even in the space where I have, I currently I'm in my career. So I just thought that it's a very good opportunity to share with you of how digitalization has massively changed the way businesses are being run, how professionals are doing business, as well as I think in the near future what it holds for all of us, as a community or as professionals. So that's basically the context of why I've chosen digitalization of business. And once I'm done with my talk, it's open to feedback and questions. So you guys can definitely put down your feedback, your questions, any queries that you may have in the chat box below. And once we're through with the session, we'll have a interaction of question and answers for you. Well, I'll frankly take all questions that you may have after the talk. Yeah. Uh, it will be good to actually see all your faces, whoever is comfortable turning on their videos. You can stay on mute, don't worry, you can be on mute, but it will be good to see your beautiful faces, so that it's nice to talk to faces, especially virtually. So open to you guys for opening up your videos.
Sunil, have you made Nirsari Bhide co-host?
Done, sir.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
All
Thank you.
right.
Now I think
Thank
you
you
can.
so much. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Done.
Just give me a minute.
Sure.
Sharing my screen. Is this visible?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. Okay. Okay, so like I said, I've already set the context, that for my talk today. So let me first quickly, run through what is digitalization. I know a lot of us, a lot of engineer friends of mine here, all my MBA friends out here, may know what digitalization is, but just a quick recap, on the term. It's a very used term these days. So it's basically a transformation of businesses to digital mode of working, or working of in a digital way, which involves use of technologies that just optimizes processes, improves the productivity and customer experience. So digitalization basically is each and every process or every tool that makes companies, um, um, make companies add to their customer value. Okay, so it just adds, it helps them to add maximum customer value to them. It could be internal customer, it could be external customer. So that's basically digitalization. I would want to delve a minute on the difference between digitalization and transformation. So these terms normally are used very, very interchangeably in these days and very incorrectly. So quick overview on digitization for matter. So digitization would be the first step for any digital transformation or digitalization in companies or in businesses. So digitization simply, if you see the image, the image basically gives you a very, very great screenshot or a great in view of the three stages. So digitization is basically anything that is on paper, or in your or in files or any sort of analog. Basically you convert that into data, into a computerized format, or a data format, which basically helps to get a uniform sort of data on board. So any processes, any systems, any flow of operations, any sort of important crucial data or crucial information that you have on papers or in excels and things like that, or in a physical format, so to speak, basically goes on to digital format. That's basically digitization in a nutshell. Then you move on to digitalization, which becomes the next step. So digitalization is where it's more broader in scope in that sense, and it's basically a process where you create tools. Okay, you create tools, you create ecosystems, create technology in that sense, which will add, like I said, a greater value while delivering, delivering your customer goals, or delivering your experience, or delivering your product. And of course, the end goals is digital transformation. Basically, it's an amalgamation of both digitalization and digitization. It's an extreme step. So every organization, I think, starts their digitalization process, so to speak, and goes in these stages. They digitize first, then they go to a digitalization phase where the processes, the systems get digitalized, ease of operations get digitalized, and then you move into a proper transformation where you transform yourselves completely in a digital convenient or a digital focused organization. That would be basically the three stages. I think it's important for companies or any individuals or any organization to understand the importance of all three, because these terms may look very similar, but they have the line is very distinct. So every organization, when it goes through these processes, then it can reach to the final digital, the first digital first kind of a title or the stage. Yes, digitalization before COVID. So I would like to speak on this on a very on starting on a lighter note. I think these days all of us or everybody is talking about before COVID and after COVID. So the BC and the AD terms that we used to use before in history, now the BC has a new connotation, which is called before COVID. Okay, so what happened before COVID and what is going to happen after COVID? So everybody talks about BC, which is before COVID. So like I said, even in the case of digitalization, it's not that digitalization is a new concept, or it's not something that was not there before COVID, but it was very limited. The scope was very limited. So it was, like I said, limited to very certain industries. As we know, it could be IT, could be media, it could be communications, banking, and finance, right? So it was the digitalization entire scenario was very, very limited to these industries. Of course, we know about the car, Ola, Ubers, etc., which came up, or the wallet systems that have come up. So it basically, it was still limited to very, very certain industries. If you see very carefully, there is no manufacturing here, there's no pharmaceutical here. So all these industries never had gotten into the digitalization space till COVID struck in a very larger scale. Of course, it was limited to certain functions as well. So you would see marketing always digital savvy guys, IT guys always digital savvy guys, sales at times because they had to interact, and of course finance, because so much amount of data into the finance space in companies, so they had to go the digital way. So only these functions basically were actively part of the digitalization in companies before COVID. Of course, again, it was also limited to certain geographies. Like if I ask you, like a tier 3 person, like a tier 3 city person may not have, had a scope or of exposure to digitalization before COVID. It was very limited to metros, Mumbai's, even tier 2 till that point of time. Tier 2 cities basically, had exposure to digitalization till that point of time. And of course, after the launch of the Digital India initiative, like I said, the e-commerce boom came up, the wallets, Paytm, Google, PhonePe, Beam app, UID, Aadhaar systems basically went into force. And of course, the entire advent of unicorn companies that came up. So this is all a scenario before COVID. So digitalization, if you see before COVID, was in pockets, I would say. You could find it in some industries, you could find it in some functions, some locations, some area of businesses, some functions of businesses, or some individual level, or state-wise or very region-oriented businesses basically were focused on digitalization before COVID. All right, what is Industry 4.0? So digitalization is very, very connected to Industry 4.0. So like we know, there have been four industrial revolutions. The past three have been over the years. I think we have the industries have revolutionized on these on these lines. First, of course, was a mechanization phase way back in 1760s, where the steam introduction of steam, or the discovery of steam engines came in play. So that was Industry 1.0. The next was the 18th sort of a century, where electric cars, and the assembly lines came into being, and there was a lot of mass production that happened. So that was Industry 2.0 for us. And that basically paved the way to that there was a need, that since there's a lot of massive production, there was a need to have a lot of scaling, right? So I think that gave rise to Industry 3.0, where there was automation involved. The IT systems, the robotics came into play, the internet, the era of internet was just about to come in, right? So Industry 3.0 was all about that. And now we are at Industry 4.0, which is basically the smart industry. It's called a smart industry because it's now completely digital, right? So Industry 4.0 is actually the digital industry, or digitalization in industries that we are being, that's basically seen currently, is basically a part of Industry 4.0. It's called that way. So it's very smart industry, autonomous, Internet of Things, machine learning, all those heavy jargons, if I may say so. Of course, the engineering guys will know better, but basically that's the Industry 4.0, and digitalization is very highly connected there. So a little more delving in, since we're talking about digitalization of business, what exactly do I mean when I say Industry 4.0 describes it's complete automation and data exchange. So earlier, of course, automation was part of 3.0, but still, all that data, or all that automation that was happening was very limited. It was limited to a scope, it was limited to a space for that particular industry, or a factory, or a region, etc. But now, Industry 4.0 has taken it a step further, or level up, where the automation and the data that you collect can be easily transferred, it can be easily exchanged, to multiple locations, to multiple areas, through a lot of network, basically, that you build. So of course, including the Internet of Things that we know about, where the device speaks to another device. In simple language, Internet of Things could be a device is actually speaking like a normal human being to another device, which is called Internet of Things. I think that's something digitalization has completely given us, that it's true innovation, and it's completely a wow thing to see when a device talks. Alexa, for example. I mean, Alexa is a device, and it speaks to you as if like a human. So I think what more digitalization can help us in, right? Industrial Internet of Things is basically similar to Internet of Things, but it's just that here there is networking, and even the processes and the computation also gets involved, and they basically have an entire language, a computer, or a digital language that every device, or every process, every sort of machine speaks in itself, right? And from the industrial space, cyber physical systems is actually a combination of the cyber, the internet, and connecting it to the physical processes that are there. So there's a lot of scope for feedback, and looping of systems, and physical systems as well. Smart manufacture and smart factories, it's very interesting to see that in this phase of digitalization, where just just on your phone or just in a device. A CEO of a multi crore company can check on what's happening in his for example in his plant in a smaller city, or he can connect there and see what's going on in the shop floor, what was the production like that day. So I think smart factories and smart manufacturing is an excellent digitalization output, I would say, where just at the click of a button or a click of a tap, an entire CEO can manage his entire multi-crore business on the go, and cloud computing, of course, a very very known kind of a term, where cloud technology, everything is up there, up there on the web, up there in your online systems, and anytime anywhere you can just extract data and extract whatever you need, and use that data. So I think industry 4.0 has, like I said, it's automation, it's data exchange, as well as a lot of analytics that has come into play. So every business, I think, runs on four important factors. One is the actual model, the business model that they have, the communication of how that business is being run on, the people, and the systems, right? So all these four, I think, because of industry 4.0 or the digitalization angle, it has just seamlessly made the entire business operations or doing business so convenient, and it has also helped industries and companies to get analyze what they want to do, what they want to achieve, and what they will be achieving also, at a very very earlier stage. It just helps them to create their vision and go for their goals in speed, right? Yes, digital, the new normal. So, like I said, moving on from 4.0. So before COVID, the pace of digitalization was quite nascent. I mean, if you see, we were going there. We were like steady by steady. We were walking on that path of digitalization. But 2020 is actually will be a year of disruption for everybody in the business industry, or every industry for that matter. It's called a year of disruption because it put forth a very very important angle in for any business, which is called pivot or perish, right? So every business has its own life cycle, but that basically depends on the economy. It depends upon supply and demand and all that. But COVID, or 2020, basically disrupted that thought in a way, because a global pandemic like that put industries or put companies at such a pedestal, where they don't pivot, or if they don't transform, or if they don't shift their focus from an what do you call, partly digital to completely fully digital first companies. So it brought them to that pedestal where if they don't pivot their ways, if they don't pivot their operations, they will soon perish. So it's really a year of disruption that it brought in, and that digital became the new normal, like I said. So I think pandemic create made digitalization as a catalyst. I mean, it acted as a huge catalyst to the entire process, because there's a thing, once you're not in the water, if somebody does not throw you in the water, you don't know how to swim, right? So it actually became like that, because every company was forced in that sense to go the digital way, right from a family run small business to a multi-millionaire, sort of or an MNC for that matter. So and be it any form of business, any industry, any business model, it just acted as a huge catalyst, because there was no way out, right? They had to swim and survive and thrive, so to speak, in this entire pandemic. So it acted as a catalyst for digitalization. So though pandemic is, they say that there is a lot of flip side to the pandemic, but I think from a digitalization perspective, it definitely was a pro. It does definitely acted as a good catalyst for digitalization of businesses. Digitalization led innovation, yes. I think the pandemic has brought out the need for a lot of companies to innovate continuously. I think it's always said and done that the more you innovate, if you don't innovate, you won't grow, right? If you keep on doing the same thing, you keep on getting the same things, right? That's the thought behind. So a pandemic basically made companies to get back to the storyboards, get back to their shark tanks, get back to their boardrooms, and virtual boardrooms for that matter. But get back to the boardrooms and understand what is next for us. Because when survival becomes prime, innovation has to is the only way to go. So that's the reason digitalization has led to a lot of innovative ideas, the innovation in businesses. And we've seen that. I mean, we've seen it a lot. I mean, the way we currently do any sort of normal daily essential activities, right from payments to insurance to ordering of medicines, healthcare, hospital, doctor consultations. I mean, you name it, and then you actually see a lot of digitalization led innovation right across there. I will kind of explain it more in the next a few slides. Digitalization becomes the new business reimagination. Yes, I think a lot of businesses had to reimagine themselves completely, bring in a lot of business transformation during the lockdown. And I have a couple of two case studies in that sense to explain and to discuss with you all that how two important businesses which could have not survived in the lockdown had they not transformed themselves. If they had not reimagined the entire business, the way they do business, they would have by now gone to the dogs. And there have also been examples where in many industries where they have not reimagined themselves during the lockdown and during the pandemic phase, and they have really lost out the opportunity and could not survive. So I think the more the companies have accepted and seen that digital is going to be the new normal, it has helped them tremendously to get it right. Here I want to touch upon what exactly how each area of businesses have digitalization touched upon has affected, right? For example, digitalization in business model or industry, right? Physical touch points to digital touch points. A very close to heart example is the company that I work for called Epidemic. I will be kind of sharing deep insights on the same in the next few minutes. But completely our business was completely dependent on physical touch points. It was direct emotional connect with customers, direct emotional connect with clients, direct emotional connect that our clients wanted to build with their own customers. Everything got hit, and we had to completely change our model from going live. The concept of going live for us used to be in a space, in an outside space, an artist going in, or an activity being done, right? But the concept of going live became completely different, and the life that we are on currently, that became a completely different transformation for us to have. And it's difficult that way because you've been setting up a business of using the same model for about few years, and then suddenly you have to shift to a completely different model. That becomes like a huge challenge. So yes, digitalization has made businesses turn around their physical touch points to digital touch points, which is one angle to it. The other, of course, business processes, or the automation or the tech that got involved. I think IT has become like the new I remember in 2002K, I think IT boom had come in and everybody was going after it. And then they said that IT is getting saturated and so on and so forth. But no, I think here we are where, IT has become like a backbone of every industry, every company, every organization, you name it. And the strong, robust IT processes or IT support that you have, it has helped businesses in the digitalization phase. So yes, automation has been a major shift in a lot of businesses that way. Digitalization in business operations, tech driven, and of course systems, getting systems digitized completely. There is now, you won't see any paper, pen, any sort of files. I remember you used to laugh. There used to be a joke, right? In government offices, or any, even for that matter, government run banks, you used to have like cupboards and cupboards of files being stored with cockroaches at that point of time. And there used to be a joke, but everything, COVID made it completely, it just like made it go away. And digitalization in total operations is something that came in. I mean, right from like, I mean, you must have heard, the entire government machinery in fact is gone digital. And it's amazing to see, because to give you an example is the COVID app, right? The massive amount of vaccinations that needed to be done for a country like ours, I don't think could have been possible without the digitalization in the business operations, or in the operations, or the systems in place. So it's actually helped a lot. It has helped a lot, even the government run organizations, as, like that. Digitalization in business strategy, like I said, again, I think very closely I have seen the change of strategy that has come in. And like I said, our entire business became physical, from a physical angle to became completely digital, right? So we had to even change our strategy, saying that what will work, what won't work, how to tap the market, and how to make sure that you get both the top line and bottom lines, your margins, your entire working in the operations, cutting down on expenses, but still making sure the experience is up to the mark, and is the experience does not get hampered, became a lot, something to really delve and really think about, how business strategy is going to be. So huge amount of brainstorming, and huge amount of um, discussions were needed and are needed when you go digital, because your entire business strategy goes completely transforms and completely changes. So digitalization in business strategy, we've seen a lot of examples out, e-commerce for that for that matter, or the ordering of simple daily food items to bigger bigger important or crucial things. They every organization has changed their strategy that way. To give you an example here, um, I think earlier, a perfume manufacturing company or a distillery would have done amazing business, right? They were doing well, they were doing their bit. But suddenly, I mean, they had to change their strategy, they had to change their model, their processes and operations, and start manufacturing sanitizers, right? So why? Because I mean, they had to survive. So the setup remains the same, the operation, so to speak, from a manufacturing angle remains the same, but the strategy has completely changed. And that's how they have survived, I think, and they're doing good because sanitizers are going to be mainstream for quite some time now. So yeah, digitalization in business communications, yes, I think the way businesses are communicating with each other, with their customers, with internally has changed drastically. Like for example, the earlier digitalization was only in terms of B2C, right? If I have to I have to converse with my customer, I had those typical social media, I had print ads, I had radio spots and things like that. But now with with the change scenario, I need to communicate with a larger audience and multiple levels of audience. It's not just my direct consumer, but I have to also communicate with my the second level, or the business to business kind of a communication that came into play, because I needed you need a lot of tie-ups, or you need a lot of associations to be made, because in a scenario like this, in this COVID scenario, you needed that support of digitalization to help your business grow and help your business communications go through very seamlessly. So yes, that is also an area where digitalization has helped a lot. Yes, a screenshot, basically a quick run through of the kind of industries or kind of companies, and how digitalization has massively changed a lot of things in our lives. The left hand side, if you see the left block, the left image basically gives you the healthcare being revolutionized digitally. Like who would have really thought that I can go to I can consult a doctor virtually, through a video call, and get my get relief, or get my queries about any illness or ill health that I'm having, with just a video call. Or who would know that the medicines, I would have don't have to rush to a day and night, or to see a to check out a day and night shop, and on fire as to get some medicine on board, or medicine with me, right? Or you have health card, netmeds, Practo, a huge chain and extremely good successful business of consultations and reviews of doctor to go, and what whom to consult, and get consultation, no waiting for doctors, no taking appointments, and waiting for your doctor to arrive. So I think the digitalization has really reimagined the healthcare industry. And I think one of the few industries who have really got a boom and got a push is the healthcare and pharmaceutical industry in the COVID space, due to digitalization. Yeah, so it has really helped them big time, I think. um, and the second block, if you see, is the education or the ed tech companies. You have the Byju's, you have the White Ed Juniors, the Toppers, the Simply Learn. I think education and learning, for that matter, has been the biggest the profiter in the entire COVID scenario, because the way they have reimagined the way education is being delivered right now has really changed. Of course, there's a flip side to it. I don't disagree on that. I'm sure a lot of you guys must be missing the in person, the college fevers, the college atmosphere, and a lot of you know experiences that I have come across with schools being online. So a lot of my acquaintances tell me that that's the only thing. I mean, the concept of school, or the concept of learning in an environment like that, has they are missing out on. But nevertheless, I think it's a complete reimagination of businesses that has happened in the education space, right from simulation of real life scenarios, to practicals, to giving them a bigger or a larger picture in their learning journey. I think all these edtech companies are doing massively well. And more few names have added, not just from the academic angle, but like you've seen, you have Celebrity School, you have Front Row, you have Ulululu, you have Unacademy, which basically also gives you anything in everything under the sun, right from technical academic knowledge to extracurricular, to music, to arts, so on and so forth, right? Coding, for that matter. I mean, who would have imagined that a so complex course, or a course so complex topic could be so easily available to school kids, just because they have reimagined the edtech, the education business in that sense. The third block talks about finances. I think after pharmaceutical education and or after these industries, basically the third industry which has got revolutionized because of digitalization in this COVID scenario is the BFSI industry. I mean, the way you do banking, of course, was there as quite fairly digital, but it has the other industries, the ancillary industries, so to speak, the financial investments industry or the insurance industry has completely been digitized and digitalized in the current space. A couple of names there, you have Coverfox, you have got Digit Insurance, you have got Acco, which are unicorns in that sense, but they have really reimagined their business as to a very very dry topic like insurance, or a very complex and a very very technical topic like insurance, which has a lot of documentation, has a lot of processes involved. Digitizing that, I think, must have been a task, but it has really eased out and reimagined the entire business for them, right? Policy Bazaar, for example, who would have thought that insurance distribution could be a business in itself, right? So Policy Bazaar did that, and then entire insurance distribution angle to it, where they kind of go to, you can choose what kind of insurance you want, and you can check out what insurance you need according to your investments, according to your your entire earnings. You basically can judge on what kind of insurance you would need, and you can buy it. You won't need of an insurance agent, for that matter, or a banking, your bank RM, for that matter, to help you out as to what insurance I want to buy or I would need. You go on to Policy Bazaar and they do the job for you. So similarly, it's a huge reimagination that the insurance space has got. Digit, for example, completely digital, digitally run. Acco, the car insurance company, it's completely amazingly done, in that sense. Incred, Incred is something has come up with very very interesting things, where the cards, or the points, the loyalty points that you earn out of the any sort of transaction that you do, you can use it for something else, or you can effectively use it to do a lot of things. So I think the entire value chain that it has helped the value chain in terms of connections between different industries or companies and models has been possible only because there is digitalization, and it is really reimagined, like I said. Okay, moving on to a case study, or to give you more insights on business innovation, right? So this company is called rtowl.com, and I did a little stint here about 9 months. I was working for this company, and it's an e-commerce, sort of a website or e-commerce platform. It's a marketplace for handcrafted and handmade curated items, so exclusively for that, right? So of course you have the biggest the Amazons, the Flipkarts, and the Mintras of the world, but for that matter, even Walmarts of the world. But to think about and to kind of to discover that there is a huge market and for handcrafted and handmade items, and I would call it purely from an innovation perspective, because it's an exclusive website for them. But the way they have built it on and held on to their core, which is handmade, and it has also helped them to help them in this COVID scenario, because a lot of people, or a lot of budding talent or budding artists, from that, who really had that talent, who didn't get time, they got a platform, right? So they got an extremely good platform in RTL, where they could display their products, sell their products, market their products, right? So I think it was truly innovative in that sense, because the kind of products that they kind of vendors or kind of artists that they focused on were very very, very key, right? And they extremely kind of pinpointed and contacted them, and that's the entire scenario. So I think, of course, it's an e-commerce venture. It's something that has been there, like I said, the Amazons and Walmarts and the Mintras of the world. But to have a completely focused sort of a marketplace only for handcrafted items, I think that's something was not there before. It had a huge space to innovate and to explore. So yes, RTL.com digitalization in that sense, use making smaller industries, or smaller groups, or smaller individuals, helping them achieve their goals, or getting them business, is also, as digitalization has also helped that, right? We see a lot of these MSMEs, smaller enterprises, I think, which has got a boom, right? The startup boom, they call it. But the smaller industries have done massively well, because they have taken the digitalization path in the COVID. And right from home kitchens, like there's a company called Chef Junction in Gurgaon, is basically only it's a market, it's kind of in food delivery thing, just like Swiggy and Zomato, but it focuses only on home cooked food, right? So which was an excellent sort of a business model, or business that they got into during the COVID, right? So Chef Junction really kind of partner the pave the way for themselves, and I think they'll soon become a unicorn, I feel, with the scale of business. Or there's a company called uh, one sec, Puja Sansar, right? Who would have thought that uh, uh, um, who would have thought that puja samagri, or worshipping, everything essentials needed for worshipping, or artis and devotional stuff, could be ordered online, and you could have these kind of things, and even pundits online can be done. So I think it's a huge reimagination and innovation angle to it. I think, like I said in the previous slides, once you are there in the water, you need to swim if you have to survive. So I think a lot of companies thought from those angles as well, that this is something that is going to be mainstream, right? So how do we make it happen for us? So I think Puja Sansar is something very, very innovative, I think, which has come up. There was also a company called Green Hive, which basically is basically operates, only with eco products, right? So they have all these herbal and eco products only, and right from a daily item like a toothpaste to multiple sort of products, they basically have everything on board, and it's completely ecological and completely safe and healthy, for that matter. So it was a good time for them to enter, and the pandemic basically helped them to grow their business multifold, because of course, coming back to the entire setup that they use, the digitalization setup that they use, it just helped them. Yes, coming on to digitalization, a business transformation. So why I have said, why I'm going to talk it from a business transformation angle is because, both these companies are into two separate areas of work, but their business was hit very, very closely. And first being Epidemic, like the logo says, is we were this is the company that I work for. We called ourselves the live music company. And quickly, I will give you an introduction of what the company is all about. So we basically started off as a marketplace, or as a platform, I would call it a digital platform, where you could book any artist, right? You could book any artist for any sort of occasion of yours. It could be a personal occasion, it could be a company occasion, it could be an event you wanted, anything. So it started off like that, and then we moved on to the our B2B business basically was creating concepts and solutions with the talent pool, with the artists that we have. We basically created concepts. So for example, if a company, for example, has an offsite, right, is an or has their annual conference or annual day, employee night, so to speak, what we used to do is we used to understand the audience and create concepts that can help them achieve their their objective of that particular event. It could be team building, it could be engagement, ice breaking sessions for freshers like you, or management trainees like you, right? Or it could be a larger sort of a dealer conference where they wanted the dealers to come up with come up with a sense of belonging, right? So we used to make a workshop, where they basically they were given the vision, the mission, etc. So basically, how do you, in an interesting way, of course, in a musical fashion or a musical conceptual way, we basically try to achieve that objective and bring in an impact using the artists that we have. So Happydemic is basically in that space. Our core basically where the artist goes and performs whatever concept, whatever solution that we used to do. The artist was a very, very important factor in it. And it was all done there. For example, if there is a birthday of a key customer, right, and how do you make sure that that customer stays for lifelong with you, right? That entire loyalty building that you want, a special place and a very emotional, high emotional connect that you want to make with that customer. We had a concept called Song Struck, which is basically on his birthday, an artist popping in at the doorstep of that particular client, and he used to sing there for 15 minutes. Of course, the entire backend was managed by us. We used to know what kind of the songs, or for example, taste that particular recipient or the client would want, right? And he would pop up there at the doorstep and he would sing for 15-20 minutes, and he was good. He's a representative of that particular partner or customer that we had. So this was an entire scenario where Happydemic, that's what Happydemic has been doing. So right from its inception in 2016 April, till 2000, yeah, 18, 19 for that matter, till 19 February or March for that matter, we basically used to do these kind of activities. And then COVID struck in, and everybody was held at home, work from home started, and it was a huge setback, or a chance to kind of really think about of how the company is going to go about now. Because our entire the premise on which the company started was delivering impactful experience with music and musical solutions, right? So they were all out there, and the first level of challenge was for us was from an operation angle. One, how do you make sure the artists get work? Because the major part of the industry, like the entertainment industry for example, had got majorly because there were no events happening, everybody was stuck at home. So it was a huge challenge for us, that how do you make sure that we still survive and still thrive in this scenario, using the artists, the artists get their work, and also how do we deliver the solutions? Because our entire business was completely live, the artists going in and performing. How do we change that? How do we completely transform that business model to a completely digital one? So firstly, the artist. So right from artist training, right? Because all musicians or musical artists, they are basically people who who may not be tech savvy. If of course, if an artist is in Mumbai, I'm sure, I mean, they may be. But what about the tier 2, tier 3, artists? What about them? They have never, some of them even didn't have an email ID to start with. I mean, it was that an issue. I mean, how do you make sure that that was the artist training perspective, artist association, building the artist capability from that angle, right? 1800 artists, how do you make sure all of them at least have an internet connection, have a phone or a laptop in front of them before they even you know do a performance? How do you ensure that? That was one. Second, was how do you make sure that the digital experience is little close to closer, at least not so much, but at least little close to a physical experience? How do you make sure that happens? That was one. And the third aspect was communication. I mean, how do you communicate your concepts and tweak or transform your concepts which are done right there physically one on one to a completely digital format? We had a couple of musical games, right? How do you make sure that that participation or that engagement happens virtually using those musical games? Like, for example, there's a concept called digital, like a drum jam. I'm sorry. Yeah. So there was a concept called drum jam, which is basically you get hand drums, in a physical format, in a live format. You get hand drums where the percussionist plays, and everybody gets in together. It's a high energy sort of an experience. It's very good team building, so on and so forth. But how do we make sure that happens digitally? What do? You can't give hand drums to people. You can't deliver hand drums to people, right, at their homes. How do you do it? The alternative was, okay, any sort of plastic instrument. The facilitator was there online, and he used to make sure that facilitating happens. He talks to them. He brings in a lot of engagement, brings a lot of participation, so that everybody participates. Or an art workshop, right? There are multiple sort of initiatives like that. Yeah, so to give you a screenshot, this is how the life to digital transformation has been. And you can see in the image on the left, had the couple enjoying at their home in the comfort of their homes, but the artist is live, right in front of them. That connection is there. Now again, back to digital, cut to digital. You have in your screen, right? You're on your screen. Of course, this is done in a studio, so we had to make sure that the internet connections are there, the audio is right. All that had to be done, which was not a concern at all when we were on the live scenario. The entire build up had to happen right from right from day one. Luckily, I think for us, one important factor was the infrastructure or the setup that we had. We had a studio very close to us, a setup there. So it kind of helped us to deliver the experiences through them. But there have been cases where the artist, when the experiences were done from the artist side, it was a huge task. It was a huge transformation for us as a company, as well as the audience, as well as the artist. So three tier or three 3 pointers kind of had to be, every pointer had to make sure that the experience goes seamless, right? Coming back to that's basically that's what Epidemic has transformed. Right now our entire business is digital. Currently, of course we will still continue to do physical experiences once things open up, but a major chunk of our business now is digital. So it's good in a way, because the brighter side of it was, the geographies got diminished. So an artist sitting in the remote location of Kerala can go and perform an artist for a client in, say, Gurgaon, right? So it was the entire geography, distance, barriers that used to come before, that got diminished. That was the brightest side. Or for that matter, it opened for us a bigger universe is the international clients. So we opened up to the US. So anybody sitting in the US now can book an artist and gets a digital experience for them, on the WhatsApps or on Zoom, etc. But that was not possible before. I mean, to get through to US based clients. So it actually helped our business grow in that sense and expand in that sense, where we now have international clients on board, right? So yes, this business transformation helped us. Our systems are digital. Our artists have been trained a little. There have been other processes in place, and the entire experience is now delivered digitally, right? So it's a huge business transformation that has happened, that has helped us in the entire scenario. That was about Epidemic. I would love to answer any more questions later if you would want to know anything about this business transformation. Moving on to Team Activators. Okay, this company also is in the engagement space, in the team building and learning development space, so to speak. And their challenge was also the same, because like all companies, I'm sure a couple of MBA friends of mine, couple of MBA friends of mine would agree that engagement or team building always happens if you have people, good participation, right? If you have a good amount of participation in the group. How do you make sure in a digital format to happen? Because that's the biggest challenge for Team Activators, this company, because all the concepts where all the team building activities that they used to do for their offsites, for conferences, were all delivered digitally, right? So sorry, physically. So it was a challenge for them to create and go to the storyboard, go to the innovation table, and innovate those kind of activities which will give immense participation, ensure participation. And second was, the activities have to be interesting, because everybody's stuck up at home. Any which ways they see their colleagues, their team members, each and every second on virtual platforms, or in the meetings. Everybody is so irritated, right, these days, with these kind of things, the virtual platform. Hello, sorry.
Hello.
Go ahead, no problem.
Okay, no problem. Okay, I thought somebody said something. Okay, so they basically completely had to revamp their business. They revamped their business and make it closer to interesting, as good as the physical pattern or physical concepts, which was a huge challenge. But I think they did, and you can see an image here where the live element was there. You can see, they've made something. They've done an activity where they have made something together. Their team has got together in the left, and they have made something, in that activity. To cut to the digital aspect, where everybody's at their homes, everybody's at their places, and they made sure that still the spirit, or the team bonding, or this one team spirit is still there, right? This is a concept that they did. Um, Multiple interesting concept which they have, like they had a couple of home Olympics. They have this virtual a cappella sessions, virtual 60-second games, and quizzes and things like that. Very interesting stuff, but very innovative in that sense, because that was the key. Because so many things are being thrown, and so many things are being thrown for an audience every single day in the professional front. So they had to make sure that their concepts are highly innovative. So I think both these businesses, Epidemic and Team Activators, have really transformed their business, and it has been a challenge, I think, for both of them, because the entire premise of their business had to change. The strategy had to change, the communication had to change, the process had to change, the model had to change. So I think in the previous slide, when I mentioned the entire business reimagination slide, in terms of the digitalization areas, I think both these businesses had to change every single of them, right? Yeah. Moving on to a quick thing on what are the barriers to digitalization. Of course, major barrier is the resistance to change and culture shift mindset. I think as as a country, or as a mindset, from the mindset perspective, it's very, very challenging, for companies to tackle this. To give you an example, uh, in digitalization, there's a mix of cultures, or mix of people, diverse set of people who interact with diverse set of hello.
Go ahead, no problem.
Sorry. So a diverse set of individuals. So there's a huge resistance to change, because there's a comfort level, right? And then suddenly you open up something, and you change the processes. Change is always something that is given a lot of resistance. To change that mindset, to change that, to change the entire organization culture, and make it digital first, or make it comfortable to a digital organization, becomes a task. To give you a home example, we, as like I said, the artist, for that matter, an artist who has never made an email ID in his life, had to go onto a Zoom platform, or a Google Meet, or Microsoft Teams, and do an experience, or perform. For him, it's such a complete different mindset change and a culture change for him, right? uh, the second is, of course, lack of expertise to lead digitization initiatives. Yes, I think the CTOs, basically, hats off to them. Whoever has made, whichever companies have succeeded in digitalization, I think hats off to the CTOs for that, because you need immense expertise to lead and follow, and successfully implement all the digitization or digitalization in companies. So it's huge sort of challenge there. Digital literacy. Okay, a little moment here. Digital literacy for us, I think, a lot of, I think the digital literacy angle is not so much a problem in metros, but definitely it's a huge challenge in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Also, a lot of times, here I would mention digital literacy in, maybe the baby boomers won't, like the Gen X or the millennials are still very tech savvy. They are very comfortable with the internet, with the digital world, with the digital processes. What about companies or industries, for that matter, where there's a lot of, a good chunk of individuals who are highly experienced, who are from the baby boomers sort of phase. uh, that bringing sync in that is a huge challenge, I think, for in terms of barriers. uh, so literacy, digital literacy in that sense, I don't mean by literacy in that sense, but yes, digital literacy is a term where the comfort, or the savviness with which you operate digitally in your systems, that's basically the digital literacy I'm talking about. Digital maturity, very, very interesting concept, because a lot of there are three angles to it. One is the trailblazers, who basically um, have just started, um, they just started digitalization zing themselves, but they're not still there. The others are the matured, completely digitally matured companies, right? For I think the startups and the unicorns will be that much. So there are three ones. One is the digital aspirants, who basically are still in the first phase one, who want to convert digitally. The other would be digital migrants, who are in that process of transforming, and the third is other trailblazers, who are completely through digital first organization. So digital maturity is a huge barrier. It totally depends upon what stage you are. That will basically determine your success, or how soon or how successfully you will kind of digitize your business. Of course, limited budget. Oh God, pesa, very, very important aspect in digitalization, because as we know, IT support, or IT service, or IT support is does not come very cheap. It has a huge cost involved, and I think these are the major barriers which a lot of companies have faced, and those are the barriers basically why companies haven't been able to digitalize fully, right? In that sense. Yes, the flip side. Automation's impact on employment. Here, I think I would like to give you an example. somebody just told me this, that there was an ITI candidate, right, and he was asked, he was taken an interview for a manufacturing sort of a company, and he said, after the first round of interview, okay, how many hours? Okay, 8 hours, 9 hours working, and this is the salary, X amount of salary. So the guy said, no, I don't think I will go for it, sir, because to be frank with you, if I just open my Swiggy app. He's basically, he opened a Swiggy app, and he's a Swiggy partner. They call him the Swiggy partner, delivery partner, right? So if I open my app and I just stay put, and I get a couple of orders in the day, even if I get 5 orders a day, if I deliver 5 orders, this is the same amount of salary, or this is the same amount of earning I will get if I instead of working for 8 hours. I mean, this is the impact automation has got on employment, in that sense, because a manufacturing won't give you so much salary or earnings compared to a simple delivery app. Of course, totally individual choices, but yes, you can't ignore that. Yes, it has got this impact, and there are individuals who also think from that angle. Environmental footprint, yes, the immense amount of data that is being generated, and the amount of emissions that we are doing, or with the entire digitalization, it's a flip side. Yes, the more and more digital we get, the more and more environmental footprint we are going to create with the CO2 emissions, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so I think that's basically a flip side here. Privacy and security, yes, the more digital we go, companies will have to invest heavily, will have to make sure that the security, cyber security systems are in place absolutely to the T. Because I think there have been cases, there was one, I think, case of Aditya Birla Group, my client, their entire system got hacked. The entire group system got hacked. Everybody was working from home, everybody was digitally connected in that sense, but the entire system got hacked. You imagine the scale, like a ABG group, a crore kind of a scale that they are into. Imagine the security issues and the entire system getting hacked. They had to almost wait for 2 months to get back on track, then get back their operations on track. So I think it's a major flip side of digitalization, where you have to make sure the privacy and security concerns are taken care of. Yes, some corporates downsize and reduction of expenditure. Yes, the more digital we go, I think the way forward is going to be, companies we've seen, right from bigger companies, giants like Infosys, and even Deloitte for that matter, have really downsized themselves. Uh, they have really sold off the expenditure or the infrastructure that they have built in terms of offices. So there'll be a scenario soon where the concept of office or workspace will be absolutely minimal. It could be shared, it could be I don't think companies will more invest into creating bigger flush, multi-storied or multi-floor offices, in the near future. I think that's a flip side, since infrastructure costs will definitely get in play, and they will cut down on that expenditure. Yes, the way forward looks good, in terms of digitalization of business. Smart manufacturing, like I said, manufacturing needs, digitalization in manufacturing will definitely help in higher productivity. It will help in convenience of business. It will help in superb level of automation that will bring in a lot of agility in the entire industry, and the way business is being done. Consumer satisfaction or consumer value creation will be very, very high because of digitalization in manufacturing, I feel. AI at the heart of Industry 4.0, it is already, 4.0 is basically completely a digitalized industry, so to speak, smart working, smart industries. So, but AI is the way forward. So all you engineering guys, watch out. I think artificial intelligence, virtual reality, um, is going to virtual based ideas, virtual based businesses in that sense, and solutions basically are going to be mainstay, and they will pave the way for industry 4.0. Cybersecurity and trust is an area where I think immense sort of scope and immense sort of work will be needed, and it will be a business that will boom, because digitalization will more and more companies would want their secured their softwares, their processes to be secured in that sense. Upskilling and reskilling of workforce, yes, like I said, to like I gave you the artist example, the training of the artist that we had to do. I mean, we never had to train an artist how to perform. Like, come on, the artist's job is to perform. Imagine, we had to reskill them to make sure the performance is closer to physical. The entire virtual experience has to in at should be in par. So that upskilling, reskilling of the workforce here, definitely individuals working in teams had to do. But for us, we had to even train the artist, the external, but they're still part of our workforce, right, for us. So reskilling them had to happen. So yes, way forward, HR guys, keep in mind, digitalization will need a lot of upskilling and reskilling, continuous learning, continuous programs, continuous making sure the systems are being delivered, are being in such a way that they are being trained, the workforce or the HR guys are trained in the systems, because that's a major it could be a major barrier for them to work in a digital space. Building a learning culture organization, yes, learning and development hugely is going to be mainstream, I think, in the near future. Learning and L&D is learning and development as a field is going to get a boost, because every organization, I think, will has now by now has really appreciated and understood the importance of continuous learning, right? So L&D as an area will definitely is going to make huge progress. Reinventing the wheel, there's a book called Reinventing the Wheel, selling the wheel, so to speak, and it talks about how do you reinvent. The wheel is basically continuous reinventing the way businesses are being done. So digitalization has basically put forth the concept that businesses have to reinvent themselves, be it in their processes, be it their model, be it their communication. So it has actually made companies realize the importance of innovation and reinventing the wheel, so to speak. Opportunities ahead. Yes, like I said, AI and robotics will be a mainstay at manufacturing, because the smart factory or the smart manufacturing is going to be a major area for all manufacturing companies that they will want to spend or want to get into, because that is going to be the way forward throughout henceforth. Convergence of tech, manufacturing, energy to create newer platforms. Yes, like I said, the footprint, environmental footprint is in play. So manufacturing, technology, and energy, these three have to converge together to have sustainable models of operations, so that we should not forget on the environmental angle to it, and have a sustainable platform and systems in place, or ecosystems in place, basically to help that. uh, there will be a hyper digitized customization. It will be a wave, because opportunities now will be focused on how high level of customization that you bring in in your business, the better it is. I mean, personalization and customization, we've seen, I mean, in our business also, in happening, I have seen a more customized or more personalized experience you bring in, the more the impact is. So I think, even for it applies to all industries, be it manufacturing, be it service. I think every single time when Zomato or Swiggy sends you an email, it's very interesting communication, very interesting emails they send out to, the kind of customization they put in their communication. in their business analytics or data analytics is amazing. I mean, you order something and the next moment you have uh, a list of recommendations or a list of customized recommendations that they give you, right? So the era digitalization going forward is going to be a hyper digitized customization involved. Yes, phygital, a very, very interesting word that I came across called phygital world, which is going to be a mix of physical and digital, right? So, like I said, digital is going to stay, but like everybody's like all companies, cannot afford to have completely digital way of business. So there will be an element of physical way of business, but it will be a hybrid model, because companies or organizations have now tasted the blood so to speak, right? So they have tasted the blood. They know that work from home no longer is work from home. It can be work from anywhere and any single point of time, because you have seen reviews or even meetings happening at 11:30 or 12 in the night, right? Because that has happened. And now that is there. So it will be a mix of physical and digital both, right? Anywhere in the world, you are always on, right? You're always live, you're always there, right? So that will be no way to go. Entrepreneurial mindset and collaborative approaches basically talks about uh, there'll be a lot of collaborations that would be needed happening, like I gave an example of Policy Bazaar, right? So they've touched upon, or they have tied up with a lot of banks, a lot of insurance companies, for the simple reason because companies can't not all companies can invest into the distribution channels, right? They have Policy Bazaar with them. So a whole lot of companies are going for the collaborative approach. There are huge tie-ups being done. So I think digitalization will help, has also helped, and the way forward will be basically uh, multiple sort of companies being tied up together, to make their business, to grow their business and achieve customer satisfaction. Yeah, work from anywhere or flexi work. Like I said, that is going to be a major opportunity. So HR folks, make sure that a huge amount of work, opportunity will be there in terms of the diversity and inclusion space now, because since everybody is working from anywhere and everybody is being connected to a lot of people, there's a lot of diversity in organizations. Everything is being the global in the true sense of the term. Global before was, maybe you had offices, or you used to connect with one or two people from your other counterparts. But right now it's going to be global on a really large scale, because everybody is going to get connected to everybody. So the entire DNI angle of it has come into play. Flexible working hours, people want now that there was a concept of work life balance before, right? HR guys, you must be knowing work life balance, but now it's no longer work life balance, but a work life coexistence, right? So work and life have to coexist together, at any given point of time, be it morning 6 or yeah, night 12. Both work and life are going parallelly, so there's a coexistence bit that has come into play. So opportunities, definitely there for companies to think about. Yes. All right. Any questions? Open to questions. Let me stop my screen share.
Thank you, ma'am, for such an illuminative colloquy. Now we have a handful of questions posed by our audience, which I'll be reading out for you to answer.
Sure.
To everyone present here, a feedback form is floated. Kindly fill it and let us know your valuable insights. Ma'am, with your permission, shall we begin?
Sure.
Yeah. So Akhil asks, in your work, that is in the HR domain, how much technology usage has changed post-COVID?
Of course, I mean, the entire end to end, I would call it, right from applying or the placement or the recruitment perspective to the exit interview or the exit process. Everything is, has changed. So every field or every area of HR that you may know of, right, or you may have come across, right from the first is that the recruitment, the placement bit, talent acquisition to talent onboarding to talent management to training to learning to the ben the actual the ben payroll systems that you have. Everything is completely digital. And in fact, there have been companies I came across where the entire they have thing called HR toolkit. They have introduced a concept called HR toolkit, which is an extremely good concept for smaller industries. Of course, the bigger giants or the bigger companies already have the set HR systems and HR organizations in the functions in place. But what about the smaller companies who may not want to spend on or may not want to build an HR function, but still you would want, because there are people working, right? You can buy an HR toolkit which gives you an entire process, digital process and software systems process, everything with you. It's called an HR toolkit. Very interesting concept, a very good opportunity for business. I think they've developed really well.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, he also wants to know your viewpoint on HR tech startups.
HR tech startups.
Yeah.
Does he have any example as such? Because HR tech startups could be many. I mean, it could be, like I said, it could be from an information systems, a data onboarding bit. It could be from a policy, the HR policy making. It could be comp and ben. So it could be multiple sort of areas. So I think HR tech has is a huge I think it to answer your question, I think the HR tech angle earlier used to be something that was a core HR part of any organization. But now organizations want to kind of outsource it to these companies, because they have the capability, they have the complete knowledge, they have the complete systems in place. They just being outsourced to them and you're through. Like I mentioned, the HR toolkit basically does that. You buy it and or you kind of give it to that particular tech company and you're through.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, one more question. What was Epidemic like during its inception?
What was Epidemic like? Oh, okay. Epidemic at the time of inception, I would call it. It's one of the most vibrant places. Our office was also very vibrant that point of time, and basically there used to be never a dull day in that sense, because every single day we had some or the other gigs happening. Some offices, some banquets, some offsite somewhere, some person going in the songstruck experience. Almost we have done about 100 songstrucks, that is 100 experiences in one day. We had artists going into 100 locations in one day. So that is the kind of scale or we used to work for from inception 2016. So 2016 to 2019 we completed almost 5,000 plus performances. So that was the scale.
Thank you, ma'am. Audience, if you have any more questions, you're free to unmute your mic and ask them.
Anyone?
Amit sir, any questions?
No, nothing. You can go ahead, sir.
All right. So you may continue.
Well, that was a wonderful exchange of questions, and I'm sure our audience present here are content with the answers. Audience, a gentle reminder to kindly fill the feedback form. As they say, change is the only constant. With the fast-pacing development of the digital business sector, I would like to extend a profound gratitude to Ms. Nirzari Bhide for taking time out from her busy schedule and coming here to educate us about such an insightful and much-needed topic. I would like to also express my sincere thanks to the higher authorities and our faculty of Vidyalankar Institute of Technology for encouraging and supporting us to conduct such eye-opening sessions and making today's session a huge success. It was a pleasure having you all here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you all. Is there any Tabish who is willing to speak? Tabish, would you like to speak?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, ma'am, like my question was, if we have some idea, or we can say it's some startup idea, new idea. So what's the next step, or what? How to implement it? Can you please
Okay.
share your views about that, please?
Sure. So I think any good question. I think Tabish. I mean, good that you are thinking on those lines, because entrepreneurship, I think, is something is going to be the new age motto. So I think every kind of startup or every kind of new idea, of course, starts with some amount of thought. The thought could be to change, either it could be to change something existing, or it could be solving a problem. So I think your first step should be, what problem are you solving, right? That's the main thing. Like, for example, to elaborate my point, Swiggy, for example, when Swiggy started, right, or a Dunzo started, they started in a college campus, right? Their thought was, the thought was simple, that how do you make sure that you have food being delivered to those students who are staying alone, away from their families. How do you make sure, right? So this actually started or taking food from home kitchens out there, around the campus, and delivering it to the students. So that's basically was the thought. The problem they solved was food being delivered, right? To good food being delivered to the students. So basically, the first thought or the first step will be, what problem are you solving with your idea? That has to be your first step. The second, obviously, is the how you're going to go about it. So you make a business plan, of course. Like any idea needs a proper plan. So you go for a business plan as to how you're going to achieve that goal of yours, or the problem that you're solving. Is it going to be then gradually, basically, you move on to devising the business model, right? Is it going to be partly digital, fully digital? What are the partners that you would need? What is the entire process? So basically, you would need to do a flow chart or an entire process map in that sense, and which will be part of your business plan. And of course, the important aspect of it is the capital. What kind of capital would you need? Then you decide on, is it going to be a self-funded one, or you would need VC, like a venture capitalist, or so on and so forth. Then you make a proper revenue model as to how are you going to generate the business, or generate revenues in that sense. Of course, margins and all that taken into place. So the financial aspect of it. So to summarize, of course, what problem are you solving? That will be your vision, or your statement, right? Your idea statement, or your business statement. The second, obviously, is the model that you will be working on, and the third is the financial aspect of it. That will include the revenue, the VCs, so on and so forth, the projections, how long you would want the funding for, how long do you expect to break even, right? So all these three, in short, these three things I would like to tell you, if you and for any business idea that you may have.
Okay, good. So thank you so much. So thank you so much, Nirsari, and thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, everyone, for your precious time.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone, for being patiently listening. I know it was a vast topic in that sense, but I've tried to kind of give you as many insights, as many thoughts on it possible. Thank you so much, Amada sir, and thank you, Soham. Thank you, Vidyalankar. I will be back soon. Hope to.
Sure, sure. We would like to see you in the college in offline mode, maybe in our auditorium. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Right.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
End the session now.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.